Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Laura Harkins.
Laura, what type of dealership did you visit?
I went to a Toyota dealership.
Perfect. And was that last night or this morning?
Yes, last night.
Okay, so let's start from the very beginning.
Okay.
When the salesman, did a salesman greet you
He did.
within the appropriate time?
Yes.
Okay, and how'd that go?
It took about 3 to 5 minutes. It went well. He was actually an old friend of mine.
Oh, wow.
I actually
Interesting.
went to school with him. So asked him a lot of questions. I had my daughter with me and my husband.
Okay.
We were actually looking for a car for her.
Okay.
So I told him what I was looking for. He wasn't really that helpful. He was, seemed like he was kind of preoccupied.
Sure.
So I kind of had to sort of force my way into the showroom.
Wow.
Like, would you mind doing a credit check? Would you mind running numbers for me?
You took control.
Yes, I did. And so he said, no, that's not a problem. So we went in and ran some numbers and found out she didn't pass the credit check.
Okay.
Unbeknownst to Mom. And so she has one thing she has to clear up.
Okay.
But I think we can handle that.
So you actually came in there on a homework assignment, but actually maybe for a real life customer, really as well.
Yes, for real.
So you could have actually came in there if he would have maybe done the proper interview, vehicle selection, the whole 9 yards, and maybe started to make it an emotional experience. You know, did he? So do we go right to the credit check and we skip the the interview and then the product presentation and then the demo drive?
Right.
All of that.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, he didn't. It's like he really wasn't that concerned. You know?
Right. Because I've had, I mean, it will happen all the time. It'll happen for you. It'll happen all the time where you have a first-time buyer that comes in. And naturally, the first thing that, do you mind coming over here to the right? Naturally, the first thing that the parent's going to do, because I can remember back to my very first vehicle I bought, and my father brought me in, and obviously we did the same thing. We went and ran the credit in my name first. Obviously came back, I didn't have any credit, didn't have enough, so obviously I need a little bit of help, but that's going to happen almost probably 90-something% of the time, close to 100. So as long as you do the process, no different, and don't shortcut, and you start from the proper greeting, and then you go to the proper interview, and then you do the product presentation, and then the demo drive. You do everything as if she can buy that car on her own, right? And then at the very end, you find out she can't buy it on her own. So then some decisions have to be made, because it is inevitable that this decision will have to be made, whether there's some help, maybe a down payment, maybe a cosign, etc. So none of that went down. None of that went down. Did you meet a manager at all?
I actually asked to see the credit finance manager for the credit. And so he came over and we talked a few minutes, and they ended up saying she needed a cosign.
Right.
So I wasn't too surprised, you know. But,
Sure.
You know, it was,
how did the whole process end?
We shook hands, he gave us the business card, and I guess we kind of left it open. You know, I told him I was looking for a used car, so.
Were you ever shown a vehicle?
No, but I kept, you know, I was trying to urge him to, you know.
I understand.
Yeah.
And was budget ever discussed?
No.
Okay. So we never talked about what's an appropriate monthly payment for her, what's an appropriate down payment, what's she currently driving. None of that was discussed.
Right, no.
So how is it that they were going to, so the bank was actually missing information.
Right.
The bank was missing some crucial information. Even though chances are she may have not have been able to buy the vehicle on her own, at least had they done a proper interview by discussing down payment, maybe she's got a trade, a vehicle she's currently driving that she could trade in. Has she been driving anything?
Yeah.
So potentially you could have used that?
Right.
So they never asked that question.
No, they didn't.
And because they didn't ask the question, they didn't have the answer. And guess who else didn't have the answer? The bank.
Okay.
Okay. Lack of a lot of steps in the sales process, right?
Sure.
And shame on the finance manager for not asking you that very question.
Okay. All right.
All right. Well, what would you have done different?
Well, I would have been truly, genuinely interested in my daughter and, you know, what kind of car she was driving.
Right.
And,
Exactly.
I would have tried to work things out so that.
Or at least,
they would have at least had a good feeling
Exactly.
when they left, that there's a possibility that she might be able to get a decent car.
right. And the problem is, had they done their job properly and done the proper interview, and then maybe go ahead and submit all the information, at that point in time, once you get a no, then you're emotionally invested at that time. So then potentially, because you're emotionally invested, you might be more likely to participate and help. But at that point in time, since you didn't have a really good feeling, it was very hard for you to do that. It was just all logic,
There you go.
right?
Yes.
Okay. Do you understand why I had you do the homework assignment?
Oh, yeah.
And you had no idea you're going to run into your buddy?
I had no idea.
Okay. So do you think your buddy might need some training?
Absolutely.
And maybe the finance manager too?
Yes.
Okay. So potentially they need to be educated and
Okay,
Jmac. All right. All right. Round of applause.